Hey everyone. So in today's video, we're going to talk about and learn about inferencing, what they are, and why they are so important to our daily lives. So when we look at inferencing, right, determining the author's meaning, let's just kind of jump in really quickly here. So an inference, what is it? It's a reasonable or informed prediction. So breaking down prediction here, what is a prediction, right? You're making a guess about something, but you're not just making a guess about something. You have reason or information that allows you to make an almost an educated guess about something. So you try to figure out something that the author does not actually say. You have to use clues from the text to figure out the author's intentions and meaning. And a lot of times what I see, the age-old question of when am I going to use this in the real world gets asked all the time from students. And there are times where, I understand, like, when am I ever going to use this, right? It's not a useful skill. Well, it's not a useful skill unless you're going into that field. Inferencing is always going to be a useful skill. The better you are at inferencing, the better you are at understanding and judging other people, the better you are at making friendships, making relationships, because you know when to say the right thing and when to not say the wrong thing, things along those lines. But inferencing in the real world can be as simple as you see someone come inside with an umbrella, and they fold the umbrella, and you make an inference that it's raining outside. Or you see, your friend studied really hard for this big math test, and you see them, you say, how did you do on the math test? And they start breaking out in tears. You can make an inference that they did not do very well. But there's also inferences, and you probably know that it probably is best used with your friends, with your family right now, but in the workplace and so on and so forth. You know when the right time to joke with your friends are, right? When they're in a good mood, when they're in a bad mood, what are the right and wrong things to say to them? Same thing with your parents. They come home and they're in a bad mood. It might not be the best time to ask to go get Chick-fil-A. Just knowing that based on evidence that you've seen in the past and based on evidence that you're seeing right now, and then your background knowledge about it, you make that prediction, you make that guess. So when inferring, you have to look beyond what is stated in the text, because it's not ever going to be directly stated to you. So this is known as reading between the lines. And authors do this as a way to make the story more engaging. They're not just going to come right out and say it, because if they come right out and say it, it's going to be very boring. Now, I understand that some of us, reading is not number one on our list of things to do, and we all want to say reading is boring. That's not true. All right, that's not true at all. And however that piece of writing gets turned into the way that you consume it, right? Maybe it's a script for a TV show. Maybe it's a script for a movie. Maybe it's a script for a video game. There is some part of it that you enjoy, some part of writing and reading that you do enjoy. And so we don't want to just come right out and just tell you everything. It's left for you to kind of start making those guesses. And that's what we need to work on. We need to work on understanding what is happening in a story or a piece of nonfiction if we go that route. So why would an author write stories that require you to infer? So hopefully you have someone at your group that's here or close to here, and I just want you to turn and talk to that person and then just jot your ideas down in your notes. Why would an author write stories that require you to infer? So pause me here and do that really quickly. So moving on, what do we use to infer? I've kind of already mentioned this, but you use details from the text, which is known as text evidence. Now we're going to go into text evidence later in the week. And then your past experiences. Another term for this is text evidence and background knowledge. You have to combine the two. And where inferring becomes challenging for us, it's the past experiences, it's the background knowledge. Because the only thing that we can control, that I can make sure that you have in front of you, is the text evidence. And so that's why we're going to learn about text evidence, how to break down text evidence, what to do with that text evidence, to make that part of it as strong as we can if we may not have experienced something in the past, to let us know what is going on or what we should be making an inference of. So How do you infer? We have 3 main steps here. So the first is make a prediction as you read. And you should be doing this anyway. You should be having an inner dialogue with yourself as you're reading in your head, and it predicts what is going to happen next, why a character did something, how others are going to react. As you're reading through the story or a nonfiction passage, whatever you're reading, you should, in your back of your mind, being like, oh, okay, I know this character. This is what this character is like. This is what this character is going to do, so on and so forth. You should already be making these predictions, and then that way you can check your predictions, right? You can see if your predictions are right as you're going through it. Also, as you're reading, you should be asking questions. So again, kind of like the making prediction thing here, a good reader has a running dialogue going on with the book. This makes you an active reader. You want to be active readers. You don't want to be disengaged readers. As much as some of us don't like to do it, when you are doing it, you need to make a concerted effort to be engaged. So ask yourself the why question. So example, why is a character acting this way? What has caused this character to act this way? What has caused this character to do these things? Why did the author share this information? Like, why does the author want us to know this? The authors, and believe it or not, like, authors choose words very, very carefully. They're not going to just make up something random and has no impact on the story. Everything that they put in the story, they put there for a reason. So why? Why did they put that? Ask those questions. You might not ever answer those questions, but to begin thinking about that is what is important. And then finally, the last step is making connections to your life. And this is where it gets tricky. So has something happened with a character that reminds you of something that happened to you? If so, you can infer how they're feeling. What did you do when in that situation, or when you were presented with that, or when you experienced that? What did you do? And then hopefully, based on your experiences, you can make a good inference about what this character is going to do, or what this character has done. So reading an article about recycling, cool, you learned about that in school. So you have some background knowledge to add to the article in order to help you understand the author's purpose. Now, here is the problem when it comes to step 3. Sometimes we haven't experienced that, and I get it. So there's nothing you can do about it. If you haven't experienced it, we can't fill that gap yet. But what we can do is we can use the text evidence, what we have, and be the best we can with that text evidence. So that's it as far as taking notes on on inferencing. So now we just have a couple of practices. So just looking at here, what inferences can you be made from this picture? And this is just kind of having some fun, but what do you think each animal is thinking here? And I know that the mouse isn't looking at the cat, but that's what mice do. That's what prey do when there's a predator-prey situation. So what are each of these characters thinking based on what you're seeing in this picture? Now, our second picture here, what inference can be made from this picture? So we have Navy, and I'm just assuming that this is Army. I'm assuming that this is Navy, and I'm assuming that the opponent's Army, but it doesn't really matter. This is definitely Navy. Looking here, right? This is your Navy player. So what is he thinking as he's carrying the football? What is he thinking here? And what is the opponent? What's going through the opponent's mind? Now, even if you've never watched football, if you've never experienced football, you hopefully understand sports or some type of game aspect, and that's where you make this inference here. And then our final, I think, just looking here, what can we infer about Sam? So the blue is Sam's text, and I'm going to call it white, gray, whatever color that is his friend or her friend. Is his friend. They're playing 2K. It's got to be his friend. Anyway, his friend texting him about. All right. And then I think I have one more. You just read this one, and then you take out the text evidence, and then how does the user feel based off of this text evidence? Now, looking at this last one here, when it says what the text says, we are not on the text evidence yet. There are 3 ways you can pull things out. You can directly quote, you can paraphrase, or you can summarize. So we're not there yet, but try your best to do one of those 3 things. Either a direct quote from here, what the text says, paraphrase what the text says, or summarize what the text says. And then over here, based off of one of those 3 things, what does the user feel? I went a little long because I went through the examples, so you could have paused. I went along because of the examples, but nevertheless, if you have any questions, please let me know. Get these notes filled in, get this practice filled in. Okay, everyone.